6.4 quake.
The shell just fell. We're live here in Ridgecrest right now.
It was quite extraordinary.
No aftershocks that I felt yet.
The power went off, the internet went off.
Literally lost everything that we have.
Good morning. It's 5 a.m. I'm Maddie Jansen.
And I'm Alex Fisher. We begin with breaking news this morning. Yet another aftershock. Again, centered just northeast of Ridgecrest. This one, a 5.4 magnitude earthquake. Our reporters in Ridgecrest initially told us they felt it as they were getting ready for their live shots this morning.
And take a look at this shaking. It could be felt here in Bakersfield. This is video just into our newsroom about half an hour ago from northeast Bakersfield from a security camera outside of a home there from our associate producer Raquel Vega's mother. She says she felt it, and again, you can see it on that camera there.
Now let's take a look at this real-time map that we've been showing you for quite some time since the big earthquake yesterday. Now this is updating in real time. What you're taking a look at right now is all of the earthquakes registered above a 2.5 magnitude. On the top, the upper center of your screen right there, those dots in red, those are the aftershocks that we've seen within the last hour, including that 5.4.
And the circles in yellow and orange were earthquakes earlier this morning, by the way. This all comes after the strongest earthquake to rattle Southern California in 20 years hit Kern County yesterday. And this morning, the community that was hit hard, Ridgecrest, remains on edge, fearful for another big shakeup. We'll remember it as the Independence Day quake. It was centered right there in Ridgecrest, just over 100 miles from Bakersfield. People living near the epicenter say the quake was long and rolling, with buildings rocking back and forth, sending things flying from store shelves. Buildings damaged, also fires ignited across the city, not to mention those many aftershocks.
And we have team coverage this morning. 17's Vanessa Dillon joins us live this morning with more on the recovery efforts happening in the desert. And later this morning, we'll hear from Amber Frias, who has reaction from our local leaders.
As well as 17's Aton Wallace. That's where we begin. He's been in Ridgecrest since yesterday, just hours after that big quake. And he joins us now with what he's seen this morning and all of the damage he saw yesterday afternoon. Aton.
Good morning, Maddie and Alex. Yes, we were the first to arrive here in Ridgecrest yesterday. That was just afternoon, but I'll take you to that in a moment. But first, I want to take you to some developments, some video, new video we received overnight. Take a look behind me. This is what once was a standing mobile home here at the Trousdale Mobile Home Park. Now, you can see that as a result of that earthquake, it slid off of its foundation, and now there's a red sign on it, yellow tape. It is too dangerous to go inside, too dangerous for anybody to live inside. This is just one of the many effects we've seen from the earthquake. Let me take you to some video now. Last night, as we were driving east on Highway 178, as you see here, we came across this crack in the middle of the two-lane road. We found this about 10 miles east of Ridgecrest on the way to the community of Trona, where the epicenter of the earthquake took place. Now, near the crack, construction crews were filling other fissures with cement and were working to fix a pipeline that burst. They confirmed that the crack was a result of the earthquake. Also yesterday in the city of Ridgecrest, we found this wall that had crumbled as a result of the earthquake. Now, this just goes to show you just how powerful this earthquake was. Now, there was plenty of other damage in Ridgecrest. When we first got to the city yesterday, we rolled up to this home on the 200 block of South Sunland Street. Neighbors say a water heater inside the garage overheated during the earthquake, sparking the blaze that destroyed the garage and parts of the roof. Then we went to the Ridgecrest Regional Hospital. It was evacuated, and at this hour, the hospital is still shut down, with the exception of the emergency room. That is important. Hundreds of employees were evacuated, and 15 patients, that's 15, were airlifted to a Palmdale area hospital. We caught up with one person at the hospital who injured her leg at her home during the earthquake.
It was a really scary thing. Like everything moves so fast, and you don't know what's happening around you. And you're so scared, and you don't know what to expect or what to do at that time.
Depending on what some of the water remediation damage might be, it could be up to a week for many services. Maybe not entirely, but because we have had some water damage, we want to make sure that it's adequately remediated.
and some video again of that damaged mobile home. The site reminds you that people are impacted by this quake. And yesterday we found two men who do not live in this home, but they were holding the American flag in front of this home. Why? Because they say that they wanted to show that Ridgecrest can get through this difficult time, because in their words, we are Americans. In their words, as we come back live, they say we are Ridgecrest strong. Reporting live in Ridgecrest, Eitan Wallace, 17 News.
Thanks so much, Eitan. We'll check back in later this morning.
And let's talk about where this quake was centered. The USGS says it struck at 10:33 yesterday morning, about 11 miles northeast of Ridgecrest. With a population of roughly 27,000 people, the city acts as the shopping and business center for northeastern Kern County. It sits just over 100 miles from Bakersfield, just under 150 miles from Los Angeles, and nearly 250 miles to Las Vegas, all places that felt the shaking from this quake. Ridgecrest is also roughly 80 miles northeast of a stretch of the LA Aqueduct that spans the San Andreas Fault. Seismologists say each year in Southern California, the odds of a major quake on that fault are 2%. And this earthquake was felt by millions up and down the West Coast. The USGS says nearly 25 million people were in areas that felt the ground move, but roughly 46,000 people truly felt the strong magnitude of that quake.
Yesterday's quake was the biggest to hit the area in 20 years, but brings back memories of the 1952 earthquakes that killed a dozen people in Kern County and forever changed the face of Bakersfield. In July 1952, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake killed 12 people and devastated Tehachapi and Arvin. A month later, on August 22nd, a 5.8 magnitude aftershock hit southeast of Bakersfield. It crumbled most of downtown's infrastructure and buildings. Combined, the two quakes caused $60 million in damage. And here's a look at what the freeways in Southern California looked like after the Northridge earthquake. That quake jolted Southern California on January 17, 1994. It was the first to strike directly under an urban area of the United States since the 1933 Long Beach earthquake. Shaking from the magnitude 6.7 quake was centered in a neighborhood in the north-central San Fernando Valley. 60 people died and 7,000 others were hurt. Some 40,000 buildings in LA, Ventura, Orange, and San Bernardino counties were damaged. Parking structures and office buildings collapsed, not to mention major freeway overpasses. The destruction caused an estimated $20 billion in damage.
And we're seeing surveillance video from houses and stores across Ridgecrest from the moment the quake hit. Check out this video from inside the Pita Fresh restaurant. A staff member posted it to their Facebook page. You can see just how frightening it must have been. Lights and hanging signs shook, pictures swayed on the walls, and items fell from several shelves. And several liquor stores sent us video and pictures of glass bottles and alcohol shattered across the floor. The owner of this store told us, one reporter, he expects significant loss, but is glad no one was hurt. And these are pictures just into our newsroom of the Marshalls in Ridgecrest. Employees tell us all of that broken stuff that you can see scattered across the floor is still there because they haven't gotten the all clear from building inspectors that the store is structurally safe to enter in order to clean up.
So many people living in Ridgecrest and neighboring communities, as well as people who have loved ones who live there, are now wondering what to do in the immediate aftermath of this quake.
And several agencies and local community members have rallied together to provide aid and resources to those affected by yesterday's major shake. And 17's Vanessa Dillon is live in Ridgecrest this morning with how the city and other communities continue to come together this morning. Vanessa?
Good morning, Alex and Maddie. We're live outside of the Ridgecrest Hospital here where, you know, a lot of people just minutes ago experienced yet another earthquake, and we even felt it out here as well. At this point, several agencies as well as hospital officials are now standing by for what could potentially be yet another influx of patients and residents coming in and checking into the emergency room this morning. Now, for those of you experiencing this morning, but for those in the area just needing last-minute supplies or shelter, Ridgecrest police are advising people to go to the Walmart you see on your screen at 201 East Bowman Road here in Ridgecrest. This is what it looked like yesterday following the 6.4 magnitude earthquake that shook this community, and help was continuously extended throughout the night going into this morning. After a state of emergency was declared for the city of Ridgecrest, several other agencies like the Red Cross came out to assist as well. Many residents also told us they're just thankful for the help, allowing them to process exactly what they went through yesterday morning. Some describing ongoing scenes of chaos. Let's take a listen.
it wrecked everything. I mean, it literally, just shook our whole place. God's been good to us, so I just pray and everything for it.
Now, in regard to those people needing medical assistance, we have just confirmed that the Ridgecrest Regional Hospital says 10 patients have now been transferred over to the Adventist Health in Bakersfield. Now, last night, Ridgecrest Regional Hospital put out a statement as well, saying its emergency rooms are open for walk-ins as well. But for now, reporting live in Ridgecrest, I'm Vanessa Dillon, 17 News. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Vanessa, thank you so much.
And there is one shelter open now for people affected by the earthquake. The American Red Cross opened that shelter at the Kerr-McGee Community Center yesterday afternoon, and it remains open with about 16 people taking shelter there as of this morning. The address is 100 West California Avenue in Ridgecrest. Volunteers are providing safe shelter, warm meals, and emotional support. The Red Cross says that it knows the community is resilient and it's working with local agencies to ensure immediate needs are met. We'll keep you updated if other shelters open later today.
All right, it is 5:10 this morning, and from Bakersfield to the Southland to Sin City, the earthquake yesterday jolted people hundreds of miles away.
How the shaking put a damper on smiles at the happiest place on earth on Independence Day.
All right, welcome back and taking a look at your forecast on this 5th of July. You know, we experienced a really wonderful holiday. We were right around where we should be for this time of year, and so it just made for a beautiful holiday out there. Currently, right now, it is 72 degrees in Bakersfield. Humidity a little high up there, 38%. And of course, the visibility is at 10 miles per hour. Winds not a problem at 3. Taking a look at the radar and satellite, as you can see, pretty much clear skies for the West Coast. We do have, warm temperatures up and down the state, which is great, for especially a lot of people who are on holiday break right now, but it is very comfortable out there for a lot of folks in California. If you're headed to the beach, I know a lot of people are wanting to go to the beach for this holiday. Currently, it's going to be 66 degrees in Pismo for your beach forecast, and you could see a little bit of a marine layer earlier in the morning, but things are going to be mostly cloudy by day's end. Taking a look at your forecast today, we're going to keep it in the mid-90s for most part. 95 degrees in Bakersfield, 94 in Shafter, 95 up in Delano, winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Up in the mountains, 94 in Weldon, 90 degrees in Lake Isabella, 85 degrees in Tehachapi, and 83 in Frazier Park. It could be a little breezy up in the mountain communities, winds southwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Out in the desert, Ridgecrest, 102 degrees today, 98 in California City, and 98 out at Edwards. Also breezy conditions out there. Your air quality is going to be 84. It's going to be moderate. And here's a look at the 7-day forecast. We have a slight warm up coming up in the next few days. 99 degrees by tomorrow, so we're going to be flirting with those triple digits, but then we start to cool things down as we go into next week. Up in the mountains, again, that warm up comes this weekend, but then we cool things down. A beautiful forecast to the start of next week. Breezy conditions, though, so be mindful of that. And also in the Kern River Valley, you've got that warm up with breezy conditions, but very pleasant once we get through the weekend. So you really can't complain about that 4th of July forecast that we saw yesterday, because we didn't see any triple digits, which was great news.
Yep, absolutely. We'll take it. And let's check out your morning commute. And on this Friday morning, the CHP page is looking pretty empty. That means as you look outside, just a few cars on the road. A lot of people still out of town enjoying the 4th of July holiday. So not any incidents to mention, and all of your major routes in and out of town are open and clear. We'll have another check in about 15 minutes.
Well, still ahead this morning on Sunrise, in the wake of this massive earthquake, the Red Cross joins us with safety tips that you and your family need to know. Welcome back. It is 5:18 now, and it shook our community. And this morning we continue to rumble in the wake of that 6.4 magnitude earthquake that hit hardest in the city of Ridgecrest.
Yeah, 5.4 aftershock felt just less than an hour ago, and it has many people concerned that another big quake could be on the way. 17's Tabitha Mills is joining us in studio this morning with earthquake preparedness tips and information from the Red Cross. Good morning, Tab.
Yeah, good morning, Maddie and Alex. Being prepared is the key, or as the Red Cross says, be Red Cross ready. And joining me this morning is Cindy Hughey, Public Information Officer for the American Red Cross Central California region. Cindy, thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
We know it's been a crazy past 24 hours for you, and we hope you're doing okay this morning.
Doing great.
Thank you for coming in. So let's talk about what's happening in Ridgecrest first this morning. Are you assisting anyone?
We are. We do have a shelter open at the Kerr-McGee Community Center, 100 West California Avenue in Ridgecrest. We have approximately 16 residents at the shelter, 1 cat, 1 dog, and we are welcoming other individuals that they felt that they didn't have anywhere safe to stay last night, or maybe there's been some damage to their home. Please come to the Red Cross shelter. We'll take very good care of you.
And Kern County is a giving community, and people are already reaching out, asking how they can help this morning. What should people here at home know?
Correct. Well, what we do need is volunteers, because if these earthquakes continue, we'll need volunteers to help those in need. Very easy to do. Go to redcross.org to volunteer. If you'd like to make a donation to the Red Cross, you can also go to redcross.org to make that donation.
Thank you for that information. Now, let's talk about preparedness. People are afraid that another earthquake may be hitting. What do they need to do to get ready in case that does happen?
Please start with a basic kit. I know you can't do the full kit because if you want to just get that basic kit, water, food, have a leash for your pet. Get a plan. Think about what are you going to do when this earthquake hits. We tell people just drop to the ground, cover your head, and hold on to something very sturdy until the shaking stops.
And another thing you asked is the Red Cross wants people to do is be aware of the community's risk and response plans. And why is that important?
Correct. Make sure that you have maybe a radio, a battery-powered radio, so you can listen to what the community is saying and where to be directed for help. But please, you're going to have to sustain on your own for maybe 48 hours. So have water, food, blanket. If there's no power or no cell service, make sure that you have a charger for your phone so you can stay in touch with your loved ones.
Some great information there. There's more information available on our website, kget.com, as well as the Red Cross website. That's redcross.org/earthquake. And another important thing to remember, Maddie and Alex, during these earthquakes is to download the Red Cross emergency app. That'll send you any information that's pertinent during that time when other forms of communication could be out. But right now,
Correct.
Cindy, thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll be talking with you about another 30 minutes. Maddie, Alex, will send it back to you.
All right, so important. Thank you so much.
All right, well, it has happened again. The killer Kern claims another life.
Just how many rescue calls crews responded to yesterday and how many people they're now looking for this morning.
Welcome back. In addition to the disaster in Ridgecrest, emergency personnel were busy responding to several rescue calls at the Kern River. Within a 3-hour span yesterday, search and rescue responded to 3 different searches. The sheriff's office says the first call came around 4:30 yesterday. Rescue crews and a helicopter responded to the area of Rabbit Island in Kern Valley for a woman who needed CPR. Sadly, the so-called killer Kern claimed another life, and the woman died at the scene. About 20 minutes later, crews were called to a report of 3 people in the water near Granite Point. One person managed to get out on their own, and crews hoisted the second to safety by search and rescue, but the third person remains missing this morning. Then just after 5 o'clock, KCSO and park rangers were called to the Kern River near Lake Mean for a missing 20-year-old man. He is also still in the river. And there are also at least 3 other recovery efforts happening this morning. A Paramount man who disappeared in Tulare County, an 11-year-old girl who fell into the river 2 weeks ago near Keysville, and a 19-year-old man who fell in with his cousin on Father's Day, also in Keysville. Crews recovered the body of his cousin last week. KCSO wants to remind you that although the Kern River may look like a nice place to beat the heat, it can quickly turn deadly. So remember to stay out and stay alive.
New this morning, several crews were called out to a raging house fire in Northeast Bakersfield late last night. Take a look at this viewer video sent to us. It broke out just after 10 p.m. on Goodman Street off Alta Vista Drive and Bernard Street. Several Kern County fire crews were on scene. No word of any injuries or what caused this blaze. Meantime, take a look at this one. Our photographer Juan Corona was headed to that fire when he spotted yet another one. You can see this palm tree ablaze. This was near Flower and Beale Streets just before 11 last night. No word on what may have sparked that fire, but Juan says there were a lot of fireworks going off in that area around that same time last night.
It is 5:25 now, and despite the temblors felt throughout town, 4th of July celebrations continued yesterday, and 17's Karen Waugh caught the fireworks at the park at Riverwalk last night and has a look at how Bakersfield celebrated.
The 4th of July is about so many things. It's about American pride, celebrating diversity and freedom, and, of course, spending time with friends and family.
The 4th of July, it's America's birthday.
The park at Riverwalk was packed. people showing their patriotism, even if they came from all corners of the world.
Where are you from?
Chihuahua. Philippines.
From the Philippines?
Yeah.
We asked them all, what's their favorite thing about America?
It's safe.
Well, the good people, the food, it's really nice. McDonald's, I love it.
They're like different, they're so nice to people. It's really pretty and I really love it.
And at the root of it all, the 4th of July is about being around those you love.
I'm with my family, my auntie.
I have my cousins and my mom and dad and my aunt and my brother, sister, and my dog.
Well, I certainly hope everyone had a very happy and safe 4th of July. I'm Karen Hua, 17 News.
I could still see the fireworks going off this morning as I was driving into work around 2.
Yeah.
Those ones, not so legal, I'm gonna guess. But
probably not
looks
since
like
it was
a lot
so
of people had fun.
early. Yeah, it's not, I
Well,
went
no,
to,
yeah, exactly. Time of use was over at that point,
Yeah, I was gonna
regardless
say.
of the fact that they were flying in the air.
Yeah, and I was trying to get some sleep last night and definitely heard my neighborhood
noisy, huh?
celebrating. It was very loud out there, but of course, it's always fun to
Yep.
see everyone celebrating.
Absolutely. Still ahead in our next half hour on Sunrise, our team coverage of the aftermath of this devastating earthquake continues.
Amber Frias will join us live from Ridgecrest with reaction from local and state leaders. That's coming up after the break.
6.4 quake.
The shell just fell. We're live here in Ridgecrest right now.
It was quite extraordinary.
No aftershocks that I felt yet.
The power went off, the internet went off.
Literally lost everything that we have.
Good morning. It's just turning over to 5:30 on this Friday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maddie Jansen.
And I'm Alex Fisher. We continue to follow breaking news this morning. It's happened again. Another aftershock centered just northeast of Ridgecrest. This one a 5.4 magnitude earthquake. It hit just after 4 a.m.
Now take a look at this video. 17 News associate producer Raquel Vega's mom sent us this morning from her home in northeast Bakersfield. You can see that security camera shaking as the aftershock hit. Again, this was still centered in Ridgecrest, but this is what it looked like here in Bakersfield.
All right, let's take a look at the real-time map that we've been showing you for quite some time now, showing you the major earthquakes plus all the aftershocks over the past 24 hours. Let's zoom in to Ridgecrest and show you exactly what's going on here. All the red dots that you see in this map are the aftershocks that we've seen within the last hour. The yellow dots that you see are the ones that have happened within the last few hours since this morning, and the green dots were the ones that we saw yesterday. So still a very active area, especially in the Ridgecrest area, and of course that magnitude 5.4 earthquake that they just saw earlier this morning.
Yeah, and yesterday's big quake was, as you know, centered in Ridgecrest, just over 100 miles from Bakersfield. People living near the epicenter say the quake was long and rolling, with buildings rocking back and forth, sending things flying from store shelves and buildings damaged, igniting fires across the city, not to mention those aftershocks that still continue this morning.
And a state of emergency is in effect this morning in Ridgecrest, where aftershocks are still happening. And of course, in wake of this magnitude 6.4 earthquake yesterday.
Not only has the mayor of Ridgecrest declared that state of emergency, but state officials are stepping in to help provide aid. And 17's Amber Frias is joining us from Ridgecrest this morning to explain just how they're doing that and providing that aid. Good morning, Amber.
Good morning, Maddie. Let me just tell you, the damage seen here in Ridgecrest, left behind by yesterday's earthquake, is evident all across the city. I'm going to show you here this brick wall right next to me. Half of it collapsed to the floor. You can see all these bricks lying on the floor. And this is just one of the damaged structures around the city. Earlier this morning, we showed you a mobile home that had collapsed into its foundation. And all these structures are part of the reason why Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency for this area. Now, that declaration allows critical resources to be allocated to local agencies to assist with an emergency that may otherwise not be available. Here in Ridgecrest, local officials also rushed to work as soon as the quake hit. The police department went out into the streets checking for structure damage and victims. They continued to patrol through the night to prevent any looting. Here's what they had to say when we spoke with them yesterday.
I was worried we were going to have collapsed buildings or something to that effect, and we were going to be, I was fearing for the worst, and I'm glad that didn't happen.
We will be able to move on from this and not see too many awful things happen that could have happened and may still in the future, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
That was Mayor Peggy Breeden speaking right there. And also, late last night, Senator Shannon Grow sent us a statement that reads in part, quote, "I have been monitoring the precarious situation with the Office of Emergency Services and local elected leaders. We urge you to please follow the advice of emergency officials and adhere to all emergency warnings and alerts." Now, again, as you may have noticed across our coverage, this is a time where not only surrounding communities, but the state itself is joining in to help a scared community. I'm live from Ridgecrest, Amber Frias, 17 News.
Thanks so much, Amber.
And President Trump tweeted about the disaster yesterday, about 2 hours after the quake. He said he'd been briefed on what was happening and all seemed to be under control in California. Meantime, California Senator Kamala Harris also reacting to the temblor. Here's what she had to say.
First of all, thankfully nobody has been hurt. And I always praise and have to praise our first responders who immediately take action to make sure that people are safe and that we can mitigate whatever damage occurs. But we have good first responders and good, strong response in California. So thankfully nobody's hurt.
As we've mentioned, the quake was centered near Ridgecrest, but it jolted Southern California, and people felt shaking as far away as Las Vegas and even Phoenix. Things are back to normal at Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure today, but staff closed the rides for inspection shortly after the quake hit. Video from inside the park shows visitors milling about the park and eating food while those rides were shut down.
That's an earthquake? That's the worst it's going to get, right?
Oh, shoot, it's shaking. And these news anchors in Los Angeles were filming a promo when the quake hit. They paused in the middle of the shoot and then started reacting once they realized the ground was shaking.
Back in Ridgecrest, Trousdale Estate mobile home park at the corner of Wayne Street and Westward Avenue was hit hard by the quake. Bridget Skojan says she moved into her home about a year ago and now it's tilted on its side. Skojan says she was terrified that she may get trapped as her home shook violently while she was inside her bedroom.
Bridget, when you realized what was happening, did you think that you may never get out?
Yeah. That's a very scary thing. Because the only thing I could think of was the house landing on its side and the door would be up in the air and there would be no way out at all because we'd be on the ground. And the only other door we have is the back door right here. As you can see, if this had fallen, we wouldn't have been able to get out at all.
As you look at your home right now, what goes through your mind?
I'm homeless.
Skojan says everything just started rolling, adding she grabbed her computer and TV and her chair fell back with her in it. She says she grabbed her 8-year-old great niece and ended up in her closet, but they managed to get out safely, which is great news there.
Absolutely. And there is one shelter open right now for people affected by the earthquake. The American Red Cross opened a shelter at the Kerr-McGee Community Center yesterday afternoon. It remains open this morning and ready to take in people who need that assistance. The address is 100 West California Avenue in Ridgecrest. Volunteers are providing shelter, warm meals, and emotional support. And we just spoke to the Red Cross a few minutes ago here in studio, and they say there are about 16 people there taking shelter right now. They're working with local agencies to ensure immediate needs are met, and we'll keep you updated if any other shelters open in the area today. While many of you probably want to help those in need via donations, Kern County posted on Facebook yesterday afternoon asking people to hold off on donations just for now. The county's working to assess the damage and find out what exactly is needed most, and we'll keep you updated once we learn more about needed donations.
Meantime, a lot of people are asking, is this disaster a warning? The so-called big one is coming. Here's what a seismologist with Caltech had to say about that during a news conference yesterday.
One should always be preparing for a big one. This does not make it less likely. There is about a 1 in 20 chance that this location will be having an even bigger earthquake within the next few days, that we have not yet seen the biggest earthquake of the sequence. It's certain that this area is going to be shaken a lot today, and some of those aftershocks will probably exceed magnitude 5, which means they will become damaging.